This is Paul Pearson, host of Star Time. And when I'm not meeting Mrs. Jones in that cafe for a chat and nothing else, I'm listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
Are you a small business owner in Seattle who was impacted by COVID-19? The Seattle Office of Economic Development is investing $8 million to connect small businesses to operating capital. The Small Business Capital Access Program will lower the cost of Washington State Small Business Flex Fund loans by paying down 25% of the loan principal. Eligible small businesses can borrow up to $150,000 with a 4% interest rate to cover expenses like payroll, rent, utilities, and supplies.
Mga kaibigan, ito po si Kuya Bert Kawili.
And this is Mike Salvador from Australia.
I'm Norb Kawili, also known as Norbcam.
Kung gusto niyo po ang latest news and events from the Philippines at yung local Filipino community, Phil-Am Radio po.
We play Filipino music and interview guests from all around the world.
And I'll keep you updated on the latest Seahawks and sports news.
Kaya always tune in Phil-Am Radio every Tuesday 1 to 2:30 p.m. Pacific Time on Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
And in YouTube and Facebook. Salamat po.
Hi, I'm Paul Pearson of Star Time. Did you know that back in the 1930s, Rainier Avenue Radio operated out of a supply closet in the Columbia City Seafirst Bank? The times have changed, and so have we. Now you can hear all the great Rainier Avenue Radio shows on our mobile app for Android and iPhone. It's completely free on the Google Play Store and the iPhone App Store. The Rainier Avenue Radio app.
Greetings. This is your host, DJ Neftali, Rainier Avenue Radio.world, the best DJ in the Seattle area. You can catch me every Monday at 8 p.m. on YouTube. Like I said, this is DJ Neftali, the best reggae in Seattle, Washington, the best radio station, Rainier Avenue Radio.world. Come on, right?
Hey, Seattle, Shop the Beat is back. Shop the Beat supports the economic recovery of small businesses, local musicians, and neighborhoods throughout Seattle. This program matches small retail businesses with local musicians to host free in-store performances during peak shopping hours to help increase foot traffic and sales for retailers and provide competitive pay for musicians who were significantly impacted by the pandemic. The City of Seattle Office of Economic Development is currently accepting applications from musicians and small businesses who are interested in participating. Apply for Shop the Beat at seattle.gov/economic development. Applications end December 1st.
You're listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
Are we good? Can you hear us over here? While we're waiting for Daniel's response, I want to do, yay. Okay, this is a new setup for me, so I just want to make sure everyone can hear. It is your host, Queen Bree, here at Clean Greens Living Live, broadcasted on Rainier Avenue Radio. I have our host, our guest, special guest here already with us, Saghar Amini. Yes. Yay! We'll do her introduction in a second, but I want to do a land acknowledgement and some announcements. We acknowledge that we are on traditional land of the first people of Seattle, the Coast Salish people, past and present, and we honor with gratitude the land itself and the Duwamish, Suquamish, Nisqually, Snoqualmie, and Muckleshoot tribes. We also acknowledge what has happened on this land to impact the lives of the Black community in Seattle due to redlining and systematic and oppressive mechanisms of anti-Black racism enacted by white leaders, politicians, business people that has robbed Black families of the opportunity to build wealth and pass down generational wealth to their family. To share your story of your home or land loss in the central area of Seattle, please contact us at Clean Greens on behalf of Black Dollar Days Task Force, or you can go straight to Black Dollar Days Task Force website at www.blackdollardaystaskforce.org, or of course you can reach out to us at cleangreensfarmmarket.com. We're headed into our announcements. This past Saturday, we just finished our youth program. It was so exciting. Of course, I didn't send pictures. I always try to do it myself, but you know what, Daniel? I'm sorry. Next week, I'm going to have you post the pictures because we had a blast. The kids had a blast. We're going to try to continue on this program. The kids will be working for free this time. So we want to invite the community. If you want to get into the garden and learn how to grow, please contact us and let us know. We'll be doing something like bi-weekly. The kids really enjoyed themselves. Also, save the date. November 15th, we'll be celebrating our end of season harvest dinner. So, November 15th at Washington Hall, we are uplifting the voices of our youth in our program and our community. We'll have a dance performance by Micah J. Samara Rain will be coming with Aurora Avenue and some fabulous backup singers. I cannot wait for that show. We have sounds by Bree in the house, so there'll be some dancing. There's some singing. You'll hear from the youth of the program. We're giving out our awards. Chef Josh is back in the house. We love him. We love his food. So please come and join us. It is $25 per ticket. Kids get in for free. We're doing it festival style. The kids will have fun and games. The adults can participate in fun and games, and you'll also get to know about all the things that we have done throughout the year with Clean Greens and see where your donations are going to. And then this Saturday will be our last market day. This coming Saturday, October 29th, is our last harvest day. So you'll be your last day to get CSA, your last day to get fresh organic produce. So please join us at 116 21st Avenue, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. We'll also be giving out fresh produce up at Garfield Saturday. And on Sunday, we'll be at a Black Farmers Market in Skyway. So be looking out for Clean Greens this weekend. All right, Sahara, I'm ready to dig into this conversation with Sahara. Sahara is here to speak with us about the protest that has been happening in Iran and around the world, and protests that has been happening right here in Seattle. For those of you who, I'll read her bio and then we'll go into why these protests have been happening. Saghar Amini, born and raised and early educated in Iran, she left her motherland because of her instincts and unapologetic protests of the government's societal norms for women. Those societal norms establish that the rights of women and even their basic perceived values are half of the men's. As there was no path to succeed in Iran in what success meant for her as a woman, I already told you my reading ain't the best. She'll be able to clean up what I messed up because I really want you guys to get to know her.
That's great.
She has been an active member of the community and is leading and organizing rallies to support the people uprising and their demand for a change. Welcome onto the show, Sahara.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. How are you doing today?
I'm good.
Good. We've been getting to know each other behind the scenes. I'm so excited that we were able to connect and cross paths. For those of you who aren't aware, there has been a protest going on in Iran since September regarding the death of Mahsa Amini. Yeah. I'm sorry. Thank you for correcting me. Mahsa Amini, who was arrested by the Guidance Patrol for wearing an improper hijab. Okay. I've been trying to practice all these right pronunciations. Sometimes I feel like the colonizers when I'm trying to pronounce all these words when they're trying to pronounce my name. So she was arrested for wearing an improper hijab and later on died in police custody. Mm-hmm. And so there has been protests starting in Iran, and now it's over 39 cities, and you have been protesting right here in Washington as well. Mm-hmm. So do you want to talk to us about further go into that and what that means for Iran and why it's important for us to be here taking that seriously and protesting as well?
Absolutely. First of all, thank you so much for having me. The reason it's important for us here is first because first and foremost, it's the human rights, but so often than not, we see that the human rights is at the bottom of the list of the priorities when we approach policy. And so it's important to keep that in mind. But if we have to talk policy and talk government and economics, it's important to understand that Iran is a bad actor. And what we've been trying to do is to keep that bad actor from getting a nuclear weapon. but it's also supporting other nations. Right now, it's giving missiles and drones to Russia in their war in Ukraine, and they're supporting them, or Hamas and Hezbollah and all of these. And also, Iran is a great resource for oil, which has been a priority for the United States forever, right? So for these bad actors to be gone is in absolute interest of the United States on every level, and for the human rights sake, for everybody around the world. Now, what's been happening with Mahsa is that she was killed in police custody. It's something that we see all around the world, right? We see it right here in America as well. We just had all the protests about George Floyd's killing, right? So it's nothing new, but what's happening is that they killed her over a few strands of hair in the 21st century, right? And it's not the first one. She's not the first person. I was arrested back in Iran just for the tiniest things, right? So it's important to recognize that and also realize that, yes, it's a women's movement. Women are leading this, and they've been having a lot more support than before, but it's not just the women's rights anymore, right? These people are now the majority, which was in the past, there was some hope for reform, but we don't see that anymore. And so they're now the majority. It's men, women, young and old, poor and rich. So everybody has united, and they are just chanting death to the dictator, and they want a complete change of this government. And I'm hopeful that they'll be successful, because they've had enough, both from economic mismanagement and societal norms and all of that. It's just been a chaos. And so I'm hopeful that they'll be able to succeed this time around.
Me too. I hope they're able to succeed. And another thing that I think is important for us to realize is women's rights are being attacked everywhere.
Exactly.
Even in the United States, women's rights are being attacked. And it is important for us to stand firm and stand in solidarity, not just for women's rights, but like you said, human rights is always at the bottom of the agenda. Like we've even been talking about housing in Washington, and there's been pushback about that because everyone is worried about the money. And the money is not, I've been trying to tell myself this is like money is just this made up entity that we're all fighting over. And yes, we need it to survive in this world, but at the end of the day, it's never more important than someone's life. So it is important for us to get involved. What are some of the ways that we here in Washington can get involved? Or donate or support the movement?
I, along with many other individuals, we have taken on the role to lead and organize. And we've been organizing rallies, and we don't accept any money. We've been paying out of pocket because I would want that to be a 501c3, a nonprofit organization where people want to donate. They're able to have it, they get their taxes, in their taxes, they can, claim
Tax
that.
write-off, yeah.
Exactly. It would be a write-off. It's also a lot more organized. But because all of this happens so quickly, and we hadn't had anything like this in the past, I just don't have that. So we've just spent out of pocket, and so there's no way to donate. But even a bigger support is to show up to our rallies. We have rallies every Saturday, every weekend. I share all of that on my Instagram page, and I share all of that information. And showing up to these rallies, it's important because the African American community has been the biggest supporter, and I truly appreciate that. Anything I did, whether in my political background in Bellevue College, BSU, I was a member there, and they always had our back with the Persian Club as well. So it's really great to see that unity, and to show that out in the rallies is important because we are the even more minority than the minority as the Iranian American community here. We're not that many. In California, they have many more, but being able to show that unity, that it's not just us, and it's the American community, it's the African American community, it's the LGBTQ community, and everybody coming together, it's important. So this Saturday, we have one at the Westlake Center at noon. We are joining our Afghan neighbors in demanding and calling out this brutal regimes that we both are fighting against. So Saturday at noon at the Westlake Center, you could join us. You could share the stories on your page that I'm sharing, right? So, and being informed about it is really important.
Yeah, there's different. We've learned through the whole George Floyd movement. We talk about different forms of protesting. It's about sharing the word, spreading the word, getting out in the community. It is better to show up in numbers. I have noticed, and people get scared though, and it's very important to know that anything can happen to us at any given time. So it's not the time to be scared. It's the time to unite and join together. Because once you unite and you uplift your voices and you connect as communities, not just with people of different backgrounds and different colors, but all of us is separated, but all of us coming together, that's when the change is going to happen and come. And if you're just tuning in, you're tuning in live to Clean Greens Living, broadcasting on Rainier Avenue Radio. I have my special guest, Saghar Amini, here speaking about the protest that has been going around in over 39 cities in Iran, over the death of
Mahsa Amini.
And also talking about protests here and how we can get involved. So right now we know that there is one protest going on in Saturday noon, Westlake Center. That's downtown Seattle. So please join, support, share the word, share the movement. We talked about in your bio, I don't know if I jumped over that, but we'll just touch on a little bit about your own liberation from Iran and your own experiences. You migrating here by yourself, how was that?
Well, I immigrated here when I was a teenager, and so I was very young. But the process has been, with the support from family, with support from my friends, the people I call my mentors, my professors at the university. It's been hard, it's been long, but it's also been worth it. Every single thing that I had to go through in my, and it's an experience that many immigrants go through as well. But it was finding my own path of what it is that I want to do. Because back in Iran, I didn't think that I had an option. Right now, I'm graduating from University of Washington, majoring in political science, right? And I already am in politics, and as a campaign manager and involved, in these rallies and leadership roles that I've been taking on, all of that could not even be a dream. And if so the possibilities that are available for me as a woman here, I couldn't even dream of them, right? So it took me a while to actually comprehend that this can happen, that if I try, and work towards it, I do have the resources. And I took advantage of every single resource that the University of Washington has offered and Bellevue College before that, right? So being aware of the resources that are available and going and asking questions. I got an award from the UW Senate last year for being the one asking the most questions. So that's been very helpful to me in my journey, right? So asking questions, especially when you're learning a new culture, new language, new country, new laws, right? So it's important to ask questions and to be aware of what's happening.
So do you have a support system here? How did you build your support system here?
I asked for help in every step of the way. I was unaware of the American history a lot when I came here, because what they do in schools in Iran is very focused on, certain subjects. And I didn't know a lot of the American history so I would go to my professor's offices and I would ask questions, or talking to a therapist can help, or working out, or whatever it is that's making you feel better. Boxing, I do boxing sometimes.
I want to get into that, yeah.
Right? Something to kind of center your soul and your self and mental health, and just taking care of that. I can't say that I always have done that or prioritized that, because especially when there's so much going on, it's hard to take care of yourself. And I appreciate every single person telling me you should be taking care of yourself, right?
Yeah.
So I need that person for myself, somebody telling me to do that. But it's definitely very important for you to function at your best, I think.
Okay. So, but you know what? So we were having conversations before we started this, and you were like, I don't have anything, but you do have something. You do your box, and that is your outlet. Because I want to just talk about, even when I'm finding myself as a African American woman in the United States who grew up in the Baptist church and all those expectations and those can't think of the words, but we'll just stick with expectations of who I'm supposed to be, how I'm supposed to act. And as I move in my ministry, in my church, I have things that I have to liberate myself from as well. So just talking to women who are going through things that you may have gone through, do you have any other advice that you would like to give to them? Or do you think
I think it's the advice that I said. I don't think if I'm, in a place to give advice to other people, but I can share my experience of what has helped. And that was, taking care of my physical and mental health as much as I could. I wasn't always successful, asking questions and just being curious about what's happening, because that's what helped me so much. That's what allowed me to learn about many of the resources that are available, both at Bellevue College and University of Washington and the city of, the county you live in. They have many resources available that many of us don't know. So whether it's financial support you need or mental health support you need or whatever you need, there is so many resources available that is frustrating to see that not many people are aware of to take advantage of those.
You know what I noticed? There are a lot of resources. I was at this convention the other day, and there was a resource that would have been really good for my 2 children, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I missed that resource, but I didn't know that resource was out there because I don't feel like and it's not that that's their fault, but I didn't see it visible anywhere. So when you talk about you have these resources, because the resources are out there, but where do you get the resources? Where do you start to look for the resources for people who are looking for those services? Like I know for me, I can say for Black people, Washington Therapy, you can go online and find them. But like other resources that you were talking about, like how did you figure out where to go get your resources?
I mean, I think an advantage I had was that I was a student at Bellevue College, and there was advisors, right, that were helping me with connecting with these resources, and some of which were Bellevue College resources. But I also know there is a phone number, 211, that you can call and, just ask them what it is you want, and then they'll connect you to different resources that you need. And it's just so massive that I think it's a matter of taking that first step of calling them. And then when you call that person, for example, one organization, they're like, no, we don't have this. Do you know of any that does? And then they'll connect you to someone, and that person will connect you to someone. And it's just this, all of them are so intertwined that they're aware of each other that we might not know, but, asking different organizations, do you know of any to connect me with? I think that was really helpful for me in my experience.
One thing I like that you said is like, I ask questions. People are always scared to ask questions. As I get older, I'm like, I'm asking questions. I don't care if it looks stupid, sounds stupid, but what I'm hearing is ask those questions. 211 is a resource. 211 is a community resource. It's like the 911 of resources for people to call. So if you are out there and you're listening to the story and you need resources to help you with school, help you with liberating from practices of your culture that you can't do by yourself, or you're homeless and need resources, reaching out to 211 is one of the ways to do it. I want to make sure that we cover everything possible that you have going on. Do you think that we talked about, did we miss anything as far as these protests? Are there ways people can donate to go back to Iran to help with those protests and those movements? Are there organizations, because you guys do this on your own, so are there other organizations that they can donate to? Or follow for more information? Like we know we can follow you, Politics Speaks.
Yeah, it's Let's Talk Politics, and underscore before and after every word. You can also search my name, Saghar Amini, which will allow you to bring up the Let's Talk Politics. So if you put in my name, it brings up the Let's Talk Politics.
I'm gonna make it even easier for you guys. go to Clean Greens, and I put it in the post. All you got to do is click and follow to stay updated.
Yeah, I share a lot of information. I share a lot of stories and action items sometimes, right? Sometimes you ask elected officials to take more action or to, join the rallies. And if you can't join the rallies, just post it on your stories. Maybe someone in your followers will be able to join and they can share it. And so this is how we are able to organize. And also the organization part is not just coming out to rallies, right? It's the working with legislators, it's working with the city, it's, having proclamations and advocating and making sure the momentum we have now doesn't die down with the rallies, right? So, and it continues. The work continues. Yeah.
I love the word. This word resonates with me so much, is action items. Because I've noticed too, especially I was at a conference, I noticed too that we can sit and we can talk and we can rally, but what are the action items? What are the steps that we can take to make a change and create a movement? These are things that are important for people to know, that we have an action item, and it's not going to happen overnight, but these are the steps we can take to create a movement of change. And so I just really want to mention that action item when we're in our communities and we're talking, because I realized I went to like it was anti-Blackness workshop, and some of us found power in saying one person didn't answer the question because he said, this was my first time being able to exercise my privilege. And it's just like stuff like that is like we're empowering ourselves. But even when I was there, I was like, okay, we could talk about anti-Blackness. We could talk about women's rights. We could talk about all this stuff, but what are our action steps when we're in these movements? And I love how you talk about, you guys have action steps. So, okay, let's see, what else can we talk about? I work for a farm, so let's talk about, what is your favorite veggie?
Oh gosh. First of all, I have to come to that event that you just mentioned in the introduction. Yeah, I think.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think that would be really fun, and I would love to be a part of it because I feel like I need to learn how to do that too, and that can be a way to let out that frustration and use it as something for your mental health. I think it would,
Yes, I was about to say, so I was like, and maybe you can mention this. We could touch on it a little bit. But if you want to exercise your privilege and not talk about it for the night, that's okay too. But what I have noticed is being on the farm is very liberating, and I'm really getting to know myself deeper as a person. And that's one of the things we talk about with Clean Greens, is getting connected back into the earth, because we come from the earth, and now we're getting connected back in the earth. And gardening is, you're gardening, you're showing the soil love, you're growing the seed and you see it and you feed your body. So you're feeding your body love, you're feeding your body organic, and that also helps as well. So that is another
absolutely
outlet.
Also just touching the soil. I feel like I do that in like our backyard with like flowers, but I'm not a professional by no means. I just like the feeling of like touching that soil and seeing that the rose bloom, or all of that is just a great feeling to see. And I have seen that it distracts you from the craziness of the day, and so I think
once you get started, look, I went to a farm conference a couple weeks ago, and now I have to get comfortable calling myself a farmer, because I feel like I graduated to farming, guys. I'm a farmer now. I'm not the head farmer. Tom Willis is the head farmer. I am not taking his job. I am not coming for his job.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you. But I can consider myself a farmer after coming from that. But it's like, it is very liberating to be able to do that and grow. And it is distraction. It is a good distraction. Like when we lease a farm in Duval. So when we go out in Duval, it's a whole different feeling because you're away from the city. It feels like fresh. I feel like I'm back in, like I'm from Oklahoma, so I feel like I'm back in the country, but I'm still in Washington, but it really feels good. So I welcome you to our harvest dinner, and eventually coming to our farm out there.
I would love to. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
And we are definitely going to have Saghar back on because she is into politics, and we have what did we say we have?
Oh, we have the midterm elections coming up. I think that's definitely worth mentioning.
Yes.
You should have received your ballots by now. If you haven't, if you're not registered to vote by any chance, you still can register to vote online until October 31st. So it's so easy. It takes 2 seconds, and then you'll receive your ballot, and then you can send it, and it's free. And it is an important election. So I'm a Democrat too. So I'm going to say vote Democrat, vote blue. And because our women's rights are on the ballot this year, right? So our rights are on the ballot, and Democrats are the ones that are fighting for our rights. And so be sure to vote Democrat, be sure to register to vote, and to vote as soon as you can.
All right. Well, we're definitely going to have her back on here to talk about why she's a Democrat. What does that mean for her? I consider myself a Democrat too. So but we will ask some questions and really talk about this, because even though I consider myself a Democrat, sometimes I'm like, I'm liberal, but then liberal has this really negative undertone. But we'll explain why I feel like I'm liberal and why you say vote Democrat. And if we have some Republicans in the House, we welcome you into this conversation as well, because as we build our community, we have to be able to learn to talk to each other and understand each other. And I want us to be able to talk about this as a whole. So we will have her back. Stay tuned. Go register to vote online. Thank you for joining us. And thank you guys. You're welcome. Thank you guys for tuning into Clean Greens Living Live, broadcasting on Rainier Avenue Radio. Please share this movement, share this story. Go vote, go register to vote, and we'll be back talking about politics and what's going on and what to look for. Bye. Up next is Phil AM.